Hi there, it's Dr. Everybody. Final project, Project 11. We're going to take a look at how to do the test file here. Because I spent most of I told you most of what I needed to about the times file for Project 10. So let's take a look at 11. So what we're going to focus on here is this test.py file. All right, and what goes in there? Well, there's a few things. One is that if you take a look at this, it says that you have to have a function. Right, you got to have at least one function other than main, and you have to have at least a parameter. So you got to do something with time. It's got to write a function that does time, and you might as well do something that tests some things. Maybe put in a loop in there and do a bunch of times and so on. I'll leave that to you. Just keep that in mind. And the first pass at a function, the first pass at a test file, really should be to take all these nice examples that we gave you. So, for example, you have all these guys. Well, let's create those times. Oh, and it says we need to generate a value error exception. So let's make another one that does time. Let's give it A, B, and C, or something like that, and make sure that it's, just give it some bogus and make sure we give it a value error exception. And then we need this str and repr, so we'll print those out, and we'll just go through and generate all of these. And what do they look like? Well, let's take a look. If so I've already typed these in, and you can hopefully see the correspondence here. So here are A, B, C, D, E, and F, and there's A, B, C, D, E, and F. Just, exactly like they're going to be. And then down here, I print them all. Okay, we print the str, and notice that when I do the prints, I also help myself out by saying, okay, I'm printing A, and I'm printing B. This just makes it a little easier for me to read. Oh, and I added in here a G with some bogus values, and I put that in a try except to catch the value error, because if you don't do this, then the whole program will crash and tell you had a value error. So it's just a little bit cleaner so that we can keep going. Down here, so we need a from local. I guess I did get as local next. And again, I would do the A and then the get local of it, and so that's printing it out with a format. So I've got the A and a get as local, and the B and the C, and of course I didn't do the G. And then down here I've got the from string, and notice that here I created a T and then I did a from string there. That's fine. And then I printed out the value of T afterwards. Okay, so that let me see what the, and I have a string here that tells me, oh, after I did this, what was the value of T? The other thing you'll see in here that makes things a little nicer is I just print some lines in between, or a bunch of hyphens, 60 of those in between. I've scattered those throughout this, and so as a start, the first thing I did is just went through and grabbed all the stuff that was in there. Here's the get local stuff. Here's a bunch of comparisons that I have in there. So you can see I set up the, a T1 and T2, and then a bunch of comparisons. There's a T1, and again, okay, so I printed out my T1 and my T2 so I could see them, and then a little string and the value. And I go through all those guys. Finish up, draw a line, and then grab these lines. And again, I put some prints in there so I can see what's going on. And oops, no, notice it says to raise a type error. Better put one in there. Try something, and accept. I don't have that in there yet, so I better remember to do that. And so and then I go and I do my subtraction, and I subtract a couple of values there. So when I take a look at this, I can actually then run my program, and we see that we get hopefully some useful information. I'll have to go and there's my A, B, C, D, E, and F in there, and there's the the get locals. Oh, by the way. Hidden under here is my try except that showed up. Here's when I did the from string, see what the value is afterwards. I checked the value error on that. And notice how I did these, right? I'd say, okay, so here's the value of T1 and T2, and it says they're, equals is false, not equals is true, and so on. And this makes it a little easier for me to check, and you might want to put some information in there. And again, you can see I drew some lines in between. Again, to set that up. All right, so now you have to make a function out of something. You could one thing you could do, you could take that, make it a function, and have it take as parameters T1 and T2, call that a bunch of times with some different T values, and then you'll check your program out. So what I've showed you here is really just a start of what you want to do. Actually want to test your program out more thoroughly than that. For example, okay, I'm still missing some try excepts in there, but at least just take the stuff that was in the project description and put those into your test program, and do some prints in there so you can actually read this thing. And that's what you want to start with, and then put some functions in there. We haven't tested everything out. You'll certainly want to test out some more things, but there's some ideas on how to build a test function. All right, that should give you something to get started with. Good luck.